Alright, so we're here, starting the week off. We got Drip Day coming this Friday. Getting Terry's car all nice and ready. He was having a crank no start. So this was all low on power, the distributor, the power pack. So since it sits in the rain, a lot of stuff was just rusted and corroded. So we got that all cleared off. His battery is going low, so we just gave it the good old jump start from the work truck. Pop it all on. Woo! She turned right on, boys.
Already know.
Good to go.
Every Thornberry performance coming at
At its finest. So everything's looking good. So we'll just be doing fluid change, so coolant, and we'll be doing the oil and the oil filter. Am I right? We're gonna be doing that on your car?
Yeah, and nut and bolt check as well.
Yeah, so we'll be lifting the cars up, checking all the nuts and bolts, the front subframes, lower control arms, rear subframes, diff, axles, all that stuff, because over time it gets loose.
We're gonna be running the problems, aka leaks.
Alright, so we're just getting the oil drained right now. Just using a little 5-quart bucket just so we can see what the oil look like. Oh, there she drops.
Nice and warm,
Nice.
just like how we like it.
Yeah, like I said, when we do oil changes, we do warm the motor up. So she has been running. She's at like 160 or so. We turned it off. So like I said, we're just doing our nut and bolt check. And checking, making sure all the lower control arms, the subframe bolts, these two guys on the 240's really prone. As you can see, he's already missing a nut on this guy. So getting the bolt here, making sure that your lower tension rod's all nice and tight, as well as your lower control arm suspension bolts. And then going back to the rear, making sure that these guys all get nice and tight. These do tend to come out on you sometimes. I've had it happen to me before. Like I said, go and check in your upper lower control arm, your toes, your lower ball joints, where those mount up, all the little spots where things will loosen up and can change basically angle degrees on your wheel as far as putting fluids on this car. We already ran it, so we already know the car runs good. And then we'll just go ahead and do my car as far as the fluids and going over all the nuts and bolts and stuff. And we'll be good for this Friday. So we already have we're getting the trailer all loaded up. We're just gonna check for other spare tires, making sure that the winch, we do have a 12,000-pound winch on here, making sure that that's all charged up. And then as well, making sure that these tires are all good to go. I just wired in all the trailer lights. We got a new one for this side, and we're just cleaning up all the wires and getting this all good to go. And then we still use a U-Haul truck right now. So Thursday, we'll be running the U-Hauls, getting everything all situated with our fluids, tools. Instead, I have a bunch of extra dual cam and single cam, a bunch of stuff, distributors, TPS sensors, fuel pressure regulators, maps, injectors, rails, fuel pumps, a bunch of that little stuff. And that's just one box. I have multiple boxes full of nuts and bolts and stuff. Alright, so just changing the spark plugs right now. As you can see, way to see if your injector is open without taking the injectors off is just pulling your plugs, seeing if they're wet. Even though these do have a lot of carbon buildup, it's dry carbon, so it means it's burning it. There's not fluid getting in it. So we've just done 4, 3. We know 1 doesn't have it. We're gonna check 2 right now, but we're just running through all the possibilities. But regardless, this car does need new plugs, so we're just 1 step away from getting the motor all nice and maintained, and then just doing the bolt check, get them all paint markered, and then checking things off the list. We do check these cars pretty often. We know the dipstick was reading at its normal level, which we keep around high because, like I said, we do have the turbo and as far as the oil feed lines and whatnot. But other than that, we're just getting the oil filter put back on. He'll put new fluids on it. The spark plugs have already been changed, good to go. So we've already done our little like checks and whatnot. And then as far as the fronts go, as far as for the nuts and bolts, those are all moderately tight. They're all torqued down as far as what they needed to be. There's paint marked on all of them. We'll just move over to the rear, and then I'll just fill. So we'll just take a trip down to Main Street. So we're just gonna fill my motor up. We don't run thermostats in these cars just so we don't have thermostats staying closed and the car overheating on us. So we do let the cars just warm up before driving it and doing a couple of drive shakedown laps before we getting on it, so the motor and the cylinder walls are all nice up to temperature. So I'll just be removing my top radiator hose. Come on, remove my top radiator hose, filling water up through the block first, because as you can see, just me visually, this sits lower, the coolant kind of comes up, so there's gonna be like a little air pocket that's gonna meet here first. So I'm just gonna get that situated out first, get water through the whole system, kick it back, put my coolant system in there, and then my car will be good to go as far as for the nut and bolt check, and then moving on. Alright, so I got the block all filled up. I'm about to put some of this hypercool in. That's what we use. This is all water, and then you use this in here. So we'll just be filling that bad girl up, and then filling up the rest up with water, and then going on from there. Alright, so water's at the top. Just squeeze it a little bit. Make sure you get all the air bubbles. Boom, it's good. Cap it up, and now you're good to go. So for me on this car, I'll just go and do the spark plugs, and then I'll go and just check the nuts and bolts. I won't show you on my car because I'm not going to show you on both, so we'll just do a little run through on with Terry's. Alright, so now we're working on my car, so we're just doing the spark plug change. I've already changed the plugs. All the tips were black. I was just having a little bit of hard time starting the car. One was fairly dry, which as far as black, just meaning it was really rich. 2 and 3 were wet with a little bit of fuel, so I can advance my timing just a little bit to get it just a little bit more leaner, so I'm not burning as much fuel. But while I have to take my, and as well my turbo blanket, but noting so, it was all black inside. So I am having a gas or a turbine leak as far as here. It's not affecting my boost because I am an external wastegate, but nevertheless, I don't want any leaks. So I'll just be removing my downpipe later and then getting a new gasket on there. But all my lines and all the wiring are good. This will probably be the last drift event as far as on this setup, and then me and Terry will be changing a lot of things over. But for that, my car is good to go. Terry's car, just getting the oil in there.
The rod knot prevention size?
Yep. We just like using the Lucas. It's thick and tacky. It stays up in your head, your cams, your buckets. It stays where the oil needs to be instead of when the car is off. All the oil drops to the bottom of the pan. So we just use some of that, just getting all the residual oil on the bottom. And then we like using the Brotella 40 weight.
Brotella.
Works fine on this car. Use it on the CA. With mine, I just bumped it up to a 50 weight just because of the single jingle style. She seems to like it. But like I said, just getting things all buttoned up, ready to go. I don't think we showed you guys this, but he got a new intake on. It's a billet by Stillen. It'll suck in all your children, you know what I mean? All the hopes and dreams that you have, this K will just suck it all up.
Done. Say
yeah. Like I said, like little things. Like I said, how many bolts are holding in there? How many bolts do you think are supposed to be there? 4, he's missing 2, so we got 2 more bolts on there.